At the university's welcome party, the class beauty protected by my childhood friend pointed at me and laughed in front of everyone. Everyone. Do you know? She's that freeloading parasite who's been eating at Bruno's house every day. It's been 12 years, 3 meals a day, all for free. I really don't know how she has the nerve. The whole crowd burst into laughter like a crashing wave. I looked at Bruno. He frowned and said, "Fiona, that's enough." Then he turned to me. Was that necessary? It was just a joke. Don't be so sensitive. I stood up and looked at them calmly. So, after 12 years of companionship, in their eyes, I was nothing more than a parasite. At that moment, I smiled. You're right. I am a parasite. I turned and walked out of the venue. From that day on, I never stepped into Bruno's house again. Bruno, however, panicked. Chapter 01. The lights at the welcome party were so bright they made my head spin. On stage, the class belle Fiona held the microphone in her hand. Her voice was sickly sweet, her smile dazzling as she hosted the interactive session. She was the new campus belle of the art department, instantly becoming a campus celebrity. It was said the line of boys chasing her stretched from the dorms all the way to the cafeteria. I sat in a corner, scrolling through my class schedule, quietly waiting for the party to end. I never liked this kind of lively scene. If the counselor hadn't forced us to attend, I would have preferred reading a few more books in the library. Next is the interactive segment. Let's play Truth or Dare. Fiona suddenly raised her voice, triggering a burst of cheers from the audience. Freshmen loved these kinds of games. Under the guise of fun, they could ask all sorts of questions they'd normally never dare. Halfway through the game, the atmosphere was at its peak. Suddenly, Fiona pointed the mic in my direction. "Hey, you there?" "Yes, you, Amanda." There was a strange excitement in her tone. All eyes turned toward me in an instant, like 1,000 spotlights pinning me in place, giving me nowhere to hide. I frowned and stood up, a sense of dread creeping in. Fiona smiled even more sweetly, but there was a trace of smugness in her eyes. "I have a question. Didn't you grow up eating meals at Bruno's house?" Bruno was sitting in the front row. He turned around and looked at me, confused. Clearly, he hadn't expected Fiona to bring this up. Before I could answer, Fiona went on, her voice dripping with malice. "Everyone, did you know? She's that freeloading parasite who's been eating at Bruno's house every day. 12 years of freeloading, 3 meals a day, all for free. Seriously, how does she even show her face?" At first, the hall fell completely silent. Then came the explosive laughter. Laughter rolled in like waves, slamming into me again and again. No way. 12 years of mooching? God, she's got no shame. So that's why she's always around Bruno, just to get free meals. She must have cost them a fortune. What is Bruno's family? A bank? Feeding an outsider for 12 years? I clenched my fists, my nails digging deep into my palms. The pain was the only thing keeping me sane. Fiona wasn't done. Her voice only grew more animated. His mom was too kind. Felt bad for her not having food, so she fed her for 12 years. If it were me, I would have died of embarrassment. I guess not everyone has that thick of a skin. Chapter 02. I looked at Bruno. Even at a moment like this, I instinctively looked at him. Just like every moment of hardship over the past 12 years, I would always search for him first. He stood up with a frown, his voice slightly impatient. "Fiona, that's enough." Fiona immediately put on a hurt expression and pouted. "But I didn't say anything wrong. It's all true, Bruno. I just wanted everyone to understand your relationship. That's all." Her voice was sickeningly sweet, full of false innocence. Bruno's frown deepened, but then he turned to me. His tone was clearly annoyed. "Was that necessary? It was just a joke. Don't be so sensitive." A joke? Trampling 12 years of dignity beneath their feet, reducing my devotion to nothing more than parasitism. And that's just a joke? I stared at him in shock, as if I were seeing him for the first time. Was this really the Bruno who, at 6 years old, spent all his pocket money to buy me candied hawthorns? The one who fought others to protect me, who ended up with a bruised and swollen face, but smiled and said it didn't hurt? The one who stayed up late to do homework with me, fighting sleep just to keep me company? I laughed. Truly laughed. So calm. It even surprised me. Yes. I'm a parasite. My voice was soft. But in the now silent venue, every word rang out clearly. 12 years. Eating 3 meals a day at Bruno's house. That's true. The room grew even quieter. So quiet you could hear the low hum of the air conditioner. Fiona lifted her chin proudly, a triumphant gleam in her eyes. But I continued. My voice still calm. But starting today, this parasite will never show up at Bruno's house again. I picked up my bag, turned around, and walked away. Behind me came the sound of a chair being shoved back. Bruno's voice, filled with anger. Amanda, what are you doing? Why are you throwing a tantrum again? I didn't look back. I walked steadily toward the door. Behind me came Fiona's fake cute voice. Oh no, she's mad. Bruno, go coax her. Then again, I guess being hit where it hurts does sting a little. Bruno didn't follow. I knew he wouldn't. In his eyes, I could never leave the Bruno household, let alone him. Just like the past 12 years, I was always that little girl who needed his protection. That pitiful thing who couldn't survive without the warmth of Bruno's home. Chapter 03. When I returned to the dorm, my roommates hadn't come back yet. The whole room was eerily quiet, with only occasional laughter drifting in from outside reminding me that the world out there was still lively. I sat on my bed, my hands still trembling slightly, not out of anger, but because of an emotion I couldn't quite name. It felt like an old wound had been torn open, bloody, raw, yet I no longer even knew how to feel the pain. I pulled out my phone and opened my chat with Luis's mom on WeChat. The last messages were from yesterday. Amanda, remember to come home for dinner tomorrow. Auntie's making your favorite sweet and sour ribs. Got it. Auntie, I'll be there on time. Good girl. Auntie will be waiting for you. I stared at the screen for a long time, my fingers hovering above the keyboard, hesitating again and again before I slowly typed. Auntie, I won't be coming back for dinner tonight. She replied almost instantly. What's wrong, Amanda? Did Bruno upset you? That kid just has a sharp tongue. Don't take it to heart. I took a deep breath. No, I just have something to do at school. Then come back tomorrow morning for breakfast. Auntie will make you soup dumplings. The kind you love, the ones with shrimp filling. My eyes suddenly started to burn. She always remembered what I liked to eat. She remembered that I didn't like cilantro. She remembered I was allergic to seafood. She remembered every little habit I had. But her son? Did he remember? Or did he see all of it as nothing more than a charity case he was burdened with? I kept typing. Auntie, I won't be coming back anymore. Thank you for taking care of me all these years. This time, she didn't reply immediately. I could imagine her face when she read that message, probably shocked, confused, maybe even a little panicked. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Amanda, what happened? Did Bruno bully you? Her voice was filled with worry and urgency. Tell Auntie. I'll scold him for you. I took a deep breath and tried to keep my voice even. Auntie, I've grown up. I can't keep bothering you like this. What are you talking about? You're not a bother. You're like a daughter to me. Her voice was trembling now. Amanda, you've been with us since you were little. Auntie watched you grow up, with your parents like that. Auntie's always felt for you. I've treated you like my own. Why are you suddenly saying things like a stranger? My eyes burned even more. If I were truly your daughter, would your son have let someone call me a freeloader? If I were truly your daughter, would he say it was just a joke? Auntie, it's time I learned to live independently. My voice was soft. This was bound to happen someday. Amanda, I'm okay. Really, don't worry. I'll take good care of myself. After hanging up, I opened my laptop and began searching for part-time jobs. If I'm a parasite, then I'd better learn how to feed myself. Suddenly, the door burst open, slamming against the wall with a loud bang. Bruno stood at the entrance, his expression terrifyingly dark. He was still panting, clearly having run all the way here. Amanda, have you had enough? Chapter 04. Who let you into the girls' dorm? I stood up and stared at him coldly. This was a girls' dormitory, and him barging in like this was already a violation of school rules. Bruno walked in as if it were perfectly normal and closed the door behind him. My mom just called me. She said you're not coming over for dinner anymore? All because of one sentence from Fiona? His tone carried clear mockery. Amanda, since when did you become so petty? Petty? So in his eyes, defending my own dignity was considered being petty. I laughed, a cold, bitter laugh. Yes, I'm petty, so please leave. Bruno froze for a moment, clearly not expecting me to be so indifferent. Then his face darkened even more. You're serious? You're going to turn against me over a joke? I've never been more serious. I looked him straight in the eye and said clearly, Bruno, please leave. He took a deep breath. His fists clenched so tightly they made a cracking sound, clearly trying to restrain his temper. Fine. You want to save face, right? I'll have Fiona apologize to you tomorrow in front of the whole class. No need. Amanda! His voice suddenly rose, filled with rage he could no longer contain. What do you want from me? What do I have to do to make you satisfied? I want to live independently. I don't want to be a parasite anymore. I looked at him calmly. Bruno, there was never anything between us. Let's just go our separate ways from now on. His face turned pale in an instant, like he'd been punched hard. Nothing between us? 12 years of history. And you're saying it meant nothing? Then tell me, what are we? I countered, my voice laced with a hint of self-mockery. Childhood sweethearts? Friends? Or just your families, freeloader? Bruno choked on his words. He opened his mouth, but couldn't say a single thing. See? Even you can't define it. I turned back to my computer and sat down, no longer looking at him. The door's right there. Please go. And next time, don't just walk into the girls' dorm. It's against school rules. Chapter 05. Bruno left. The door slammed so loudly that the entire hallway heard it, startling the girls in the neighboring dorms who poked their heads out to see what was going on. My roommate Elise pushed the door open and came in, holding a small piece of cake she brought back from the party. Whoa, was that Bruno just now? Did you two fight? She placed the cake on the table and looked at me with concern. I shook my head. It's nothing. Don't lie to me. The whole school is talking about how you were humiliated by Fiona. Elise sat down beside me, clearly upset. That Fiona is seriously the worst. Just because she's pretty, she thinks she can do whatever she wants. I heard her family's super rich. She's been spoiled since she was a kid. But Bruno was way out of line too. How could he not stand up for you? She huffed in indignation. If my boyfriend ever acted like that, I'd break up with him on the spot. I gave a bitter smile. Why should he stand up for me? He's not my boyfriend. You're not. Childhood sweethearts? Elise's eyes widened in surprise. The whole school knows about you too. Being childhood friends doesn't mean anything. I looked at the job listings on my laptop. Maybe to others, we looked close, but in his eyes, I'm just a pathetic freeloader who needs charity. Elise fell silent for a moment, then patted my shoulder. If you ask me, it's good you walked away. Saves you from more gossip. If a man can't protect you when it matters most, what good is he? Oh, right, what are you looking at? Part-time job listings. You're getting a job? Elise looked even more surprised. But weren't you always at Bruno's house? She stopped herself mid-sentence, realizing she said the wrong thing. Yeah, I can't really be a parasite forever. I smiled wryly. I have to learn to support myself. Elise stayed quiet for a bit, then suddenly said, I have a senior who works at a coffee shop. Business is good, and the pay's decent. Want me to ask her for you? She's really nice. Thank you. That same evening, I secured the part-time job at the cafe. The manager was a woman in her 30s, very capable. When she heard I was working to support my studies, she agreed without hesitation. The next morning, I woke up at 6. In the past, around this time, I would have gone to Bruno's house for breakfast. Luis's mom would have steaming hot buns and soy milk ready. Bruno would come downstairs, still groggy, his hair a mess, looking like a sleepy boy. We'd sit at the table together. He'd complain about how much homework he had the night before while I packed his bag and reminded him what classes he had that day. Then we'd walk to school together. On the way, we'd buy 2 milk teas, and he would always give me all the pearls. Now, I bought a piece of bread and a bottle of milk at the convenience store and rushed to the cafe. A new life starts today. Chapter 06. Working at the coffee shop wasn't too exhausting, but after standing all day, my feet felt like they were about to break. I had never realized just how tough the service industry could be. You had to keep smiling all the time, remember every customer's preferences, and stay gentle even when they were impatient. By 8 p.m., I finally dragged my tired body back to campus. The cafeteria was already closed, so I had no choice but to buy instant noodles from the convenience store. As I walked up to the dorm building, I spotted a familiar figure. Amanda. Bruno stood under the street lamp, holding a thermal food container in his hand. The light cast a soft glow on his face, making him look somewhat worn out. My mom asked me to bring you dinner. He handed over the container, his voice awkward. She made sweet and sour ribs, your favorite. The container was still warm, and even through the lid, I could smell the familiar aroma. My stomach growled embarrassingly. Since morning, I'd only eaten a piece of bread. I was definitely hungry, but I didn't take it. Thank your mom for me, but I've already eaten. You've eaten? Bruno raised an eyebrow, his eyes scanning me. What did you eat? I can smell the instant noodles. That's none of your business. I tried to walk past him, but he grabbed my wrist. His hand was hot, almost like he had a fever. Amanda, that's enough. His voice carried suppressed anger. All this over one comment? You're cutting me off? Do you know how worried my mom is about you? She made a whole table of food waiting for you when you didn't show up. She couldn't even eat. It's not just one comment. I shook off his hand, a red mark left on my wrist. It's 12 years of buildup. I looked at him, my voice soft but every word clear. Bruno, do you know what people have said about me over these 12 years? They say I'm a pitiful girl who survived off your family's charity. They say I'm shameless, that I have no self-respect. They say I'm not good enough for you, that I'm just a weed trying to cling to a tall tree. And you? You never denied any of it. Bruno froze, his face growing paler by the second. You silently agreed with all of them, including Fiona. I looked at him, my eyes burning, though I held back the tears. In your heart, I really am just a freeloader, aren't I? A pathetic girl who can only survive off your family's handouts. Chapter 07. Bruno stood there like he'd been struck by lightning, completely frozen. The night breeze was chilly, lifting the strands of hair on his forehead. He opened his mouth, trying to say something, but in the end, no words came out. I turned and walked upstairs without looking back. A week later, it was Bruno's birthday. Fiona posted several updates on her social media, all showing her preparing for Bruno's birthday party, preparing a surprise for Bruno. Can't wait to see his reaction. The photo showed a 3-layer cake with Happy Birthday Bruno written on it, decorated with hearts. Still decorating, feeling so girly already. Pink balloons and ribbons, looked like it was at a fancy restaurant. Someone said not to make a big deal, but I had to give him an unforgettable birthday. Bruno's silhouette could be vaguely seen in the background of one photo. Elise curled her lips. She's such a faker. Everyone knows she's dying to become Mrs. Louise. It's only been a few weeks since school started, and she's already being this obvious. I didn't say anything and kept organizing the receipts from the coffee shop. This past week, I'd worked at the cafe every day and had pretty much learned the ropes. It was tiring, but at least I could support myself. When I received my first paycheck, even though it wasn't much, the feeling of earning it through my own effort was incredibly grounding. At 10 p.m., Luis's mom called me. I stared at the screen for a long time, hesitating, but I eventually answered. Amanda, it's Bruno's birthday today. Are you coming? Her voice was gentle, tinged with careful concern. Auntie, I think I'll skip it. Amanda, she sighed. What exactly did that kid do to upset you? I already told him he should apologize properly. He's been spoiled since he was little, he just doesn't know how to consider others. It's nothing, I just want to be more independent. I didn't want her to worry. Auntie, I'm doing fine. Please don't worry about me. Are you eating well? Should I bring you some food? I heard from Bruno that you've been working, must be tough. Huh? No need. Auntie, really? I'm okay. Please don't worry. I can take care of myself. After hanging up, I went back to my book. Midterm exams were coming up, and I couldn't afford to fall behind. Even though I was working, studying was still the top priority. Just after 10, my phone suddenly rang. It was Bruno. Where are you? His voice was a bit slurred. He sounded drunk. The background was noisy, full of music and people laughing. In the dorm. Come down. Why? It's my birthday. Aren't you going to at least say happy birthday? His voice carried a drunken sadness, and a trace of grievance I couldn't quite define. I paused for a few seconds. Happy birthday. That's it? Amanda, how many years have we known each other? Every year on my birthday, you always gave me a present. What about this year? Suddenly, Fiona's voice came from the other end of the line. Bruno, who are you calling? She sounded coquettish, clearly tipsy too. Come on, it's time to cut the cake. Everyone's waiting for you. Bruno didn't say anything else and hung up. I set the phone down and returned to my reading. Outside, the sound of fireworks rang through the air. Someone must be celebrating something. In this city, there's always someone celebrating, always someone laughing. As for me, I need to learn how to live alone. Chapter 08. The next day, I went to work at the cafe as usual. During my lunch break, I scrolled through Fiona's social media. It was a photo from last night's birthday party. She was holding onto Bruno's arm, smiling sweetly. Bruno looked a bit stiff, but still cooperated and faced the camera. Someone had commented below, "Such a perfect match. When are you going public?" Bruno finally came to his senses. Congrats to the class beauty for landing the campus heartthrob. Fiona replied. Still early. Bruno G said he needs to handle a few things first, along with a bashful emoji. Handle what? Handle me, the leech? I chuckled bitterly to myself and turned off my phone. Getting back to work. At 3 p.m., the cafe door opened. The bell above rang softly. Bruno walked in, dressed in black sportswear. He looked exhausted. He sat down at the counter, expressionless, and stared at me. One Americano. I turned to make the coffee without a word. I was already quite skilled, had it ready in less than 2 minutes. You work here? His voice was low, almost like he was talking to himself. To prove you're not a leech. There was a hint of sarcasm in his tone. I placed the coffee in front of him. 28 yuan. He pulled out 100. Keep the change. No, I'll give you the change. I insisted and handed him 72 yuan. Bruno stared at the change, then suddenly let out a cold laugh. Amanda, do you think you're so noble? Think you're some kind of hero? I'm just doing my job. Job? He stood up, voice suddenly raised. How much can you even make a month? Enough to eat? Enough to pay your tuition? To buy a decent piece of clothing? Other customers in the cafe turned to look. Whether it's enough or not, that's my business. I looked at him calmly. Please don't disturb the other guests. You don't have to make things this hard on yourself. His eyes were a bit red. My mom treats you like a daughter. Why are you doing this? Yes. Staying a leech would definitely be easier. I looked at him, but I don't want that. Bruno, I have my own dignity. Chapter 09. Bruno left without taking a single sip of the coffee. That 100 yuan Americano was the largest tip I'd received since I started working here, but I still put the extra money into the box at the cashier's counter. The manager walked over. She'd been in the back just now, and must have seen the whole thing. Was that your boyfriend? No, he seems to care about you. She smiled. Ah, young people, always taking things for granted. They only realize what they've lost when it's already too late. Care? If he really cared, he wouldn't have let others humiliate me. If he really cared, he wouldn't have thought it was just a joke. After my shift ended, I had just stepped out of the cafe when I saw Luis's mom standing outside. She was holding several thermal containers. As soon as she saw me, she rushed over. Amanda! Her eyes were a little red. Auntie has finally waited long enough to see you. Auntie, don't refuse just yet. Let me finish. She took my hand. Her palm was warm. Amanda, Auntie knows Bruno made a mistake. I heard about what happened at the party that night. I already scolded him. That boy has been spoiled by me. Her voice choked a little. But Amanda, all these years, you've tutored Bruno, taken care of him. I've seen it all. If it weren't for you, Bruno wouldn't have gotten into such a good university. Do you remember? Senior year, when he was hospitalized. It was you who stayed by his side, tutoring him. He struggled with math, and you taught him over and over. His English listening was weak, and you practiced with him every day. I've always treated you like a daughter. It's not charity, it's from the heart. My eyes started to sting. She truly had been kind to me. Over the years, she'd given me the warmth of a real home. But Auntie, Bruno doesn't see it that way. My voice was hoarse. In his eyes, I'm just a parasite. That little brat. She huffed in anger. I'll teach him a proper lesson. Amanda, please don't distance yourself from Auntie just because of him, okay? Auntie really cares about you. That's not necessary. Auntie, I want to rely on myself. I gently pulled my hand away. I've grown up now. She sighed and stuffed the containers into my arms. Then at least take this. Think of it as a visit from Auntie. If you ever run into trouble, you must let me know, okay? Auntie will always be your support. I nodded, almost in tears. Back at the dorm, I opened the containers. Inside were all my favorite dishes. Sweet and sour pork ribs, steamed perch, scrambled eggs with tomatoes, and a small box of shrimp soup dumplings. Everything was made to my taste, light, not greasy, and avoided all the ingredients I was allergic to. Elise leaned over. Wow, that smells amazing. Luis's mom really treats you well. She cooks even better than restaurant chefs. Yeah, too bad her son doesn't feel the same way. Chapter 10. The midterm results came out. I ranked first in the department. The professor specially praised me in class, saying my paper was outstanding and offered unique insights. Although Amanda has to work part-time, her grades remain excellent. She's someone everyone should learn from. Fiona, sitting in the front row, turned to glance at me with a look of disdain in her eyes. She had dyed her hair a new color, chestnut waves, with flawless makeup. She was, admittedly, very beautiful. After class, she deliberately said loudly, "Some people are just good at studying. So what? Still have to work part-time to survive, right? Earning so little a month, can't even afford a handbag. Unlike us, who can enjoy university life thanks to our family's support." Her entourage immediately chimed in. Exactly. What's the use of being a nerd? I heard she works at a cafe, makes just over 100 yuan a day. So pitiful. Should we go support the business? Forget it. We'd have to see her face there. So awkward. I packed up my things and got ready to leave. The grade sheet was still in my hand, with the bolded first place standing out clearly. Suddenly, Bruno stood up. Enough. His voice was cold, ice cold. Fiona froze for a second, then put on a hurt expression. Bruno? What did I even say? Stop talking. His face looked awful. Fiona, I've warned you many times already. Fiona bit her lip, her eyes immediately reddening. I didn't say anything wrong. Bruno, are you still mad at me? I already apologized for what happened on my birthday. Bruno ignored her and walked quickly out of the classroom. When he passed by me, he paused. I thought he was going to say something, but he just looked at me and kept walking. I followed him out, but in the hallway, he stopped me. You got first place. Aren't you going to celebrate? His tone was a bit awkward. Nothing worth celebrating. Let me treat you to a meal, to celebrate your achievement. No need. I tried to walk past him, but he grabbed my arm again, this time with force. Amanda, how long are you going to keep this up? We've known each other for 12 years. Does 12 years of friendship mean nothing to you? I'm not dragging things out. We don't have much of a relationship to begin with. I looked him in the eye. Bruno, let go. No relationship? He laughed, bitterly. 12 years. And now you say there's nothing? Do you remember the first time we met? Your parents were fighting, and you hid under the tree crying. I was the one who wiped your tears and took you home. Since then, we've never been apart. Chapter 11. Then tell me, what are we exactly? I looked him straight in the eyes. It was a question I had asked him many times before, but he had never given me a direct answer. Bruno opened his mouth, but it was as if something was stuck in his throat. His hand was still gripping my wrist, hot and slightly trembling. See? Even you don't know. I shook off his hand. So don't come looking for me anymore. Amanda! He called after me, his voice tinged with panic, but I didn't turn back. That night, Luis's mom came again. This time, she brought an envelope. Amanda, this is for your living expenses. The envelope was thick. There must have been a lot of money inside. Auntie, I can't accept this. Let me finish. She spoke firmly. This isn't charity. It's what you deserve. All these years, you tutored Bruno, stayed up with him doing homework until late at night. If we had hired a tutor, it would have cost at least 10,000 yuan a month. You helped him for 3 years straight. This isn't even enough to cover that. So this is your payment. Your labor. You must take it. She pressed the envelope into my hands. Amanda, I know you have pride, but please also try to understand how I feel. Seeing you struggle like this, it breaks my heart. I looked at the envelope. There had to be at least 10,000 yuan in it. For me right now, that was a huge sum. Auntie, really? I can't. Amanda. She held my hands, her eyes welling with tears. I know you've been wronged. Bruno, that little brat, I already scolded him. But I'm me, and Bruno is Bruno. Don't push me away just because of him, okay? Looking into her pleading eyes, my heart softened. She really had treated me well all these years, never like an outsider. But in the end, I still pushed the envelope back. Auntie, I can support myself now. If I ever truly need help, I'll come to you. Is that okay? Her eyes turned red, her voice choked. You child, why are you so stubborn? Just like your mother. At the mention of my mom, I froze. She left when I was 10, said she couldn't stand my dad's abuse. And when she left, she didn't take me with her. Chapter 12. November came in a flash, and the weather turned cold. Winter arrived early in the north. The trees were bare, stripped of all their leaves, leaving only thin, naked branches. I was getting better and better at my job in the cafe, so much so that the manager even said she was going to give me a raise. You're doing great. The customers really like you. Starting next month, I'll raise your pay to 150 yuan per day. It wasn't much, but for me, it was a huge encouragement. Academically, I was still holding first place. Several professors appreciated my work. One even asked if I wanted to become his research assistant, which came with an extra stipend. Everything seemed to be moving in a good direction, except for one thing. Amanda, come out. Bruno stood at the classroom door, his face terrifyingly pale. He'd lost a lot of weight, his cheekbones were protruding, and there were heavy dark circles under his eyes. I pretended not to hear him and kept organizing my notes. He walked right in, ignoring the stares of other classmates, and grabbed my wrist. Come with me. Let go of me. I need to talk to you. His voice was hoarse, like he hadn't spoken properly in days. We have nothing to talk about. Amanda. He almost growled my name, his bloodshot eyes filled with frustration. Are you really going to be like this? Do you seriously not care at all about our past? Everyone in class turned to look at us. Some started whispering, others pulled out their phones. Fiona was there too. She sat in a corner, biting her lip, her eyes red. She wasn't wearing makeup today, and her bare face looked drained. I shook off his hand. Bruno, enough. I haven't been bothering you. You're the one who keeps coming after me. Please have some self-respect. I picked up my bag and walked out of the classroom. Behind me, Fiona started sobbing. Bruno, how could you treat me like this? Because of her? What's so great about her? Her voice became shrill. She's just a freeloader who survived off your family's charity. What right does she have to look down on you? Smack! A loud slap echoed through the room. The entire classroom went silent. I turned back. Bruno's face was dark, his hands still frozen midair. Fiona clutched her face in disbelief, staring at him. Chapter 13. You hit me? You hit me for her? Fiona's voice cracked as she screamed. A bright red slap mark covered her cheek. Bruno said coldly. I warned you many times not to say things like that. His tone was like frozen steel. Didn't you hear me? But it's the truth. Fiona broke down, sobbing. Her makeup was smudged, streaking down her face. She is a freeloader. If your mom hadn't pitied her, she would have starved to death. What right does she have to study here? What right does she have to reject you? To look down on you? Who does she think she is? Bruno's fists clenched so tightly they cracked. His face darkened further. I walked over, calmly looking at Fiona. She was a mess, crying hysterically, eyeliner smeared. She looked like a madwoman. You're right. I did eat at Bruno's house for 12 years. My voice was calm and clear, echoing in the silent classroom. But do you know? In those 12 years, I gave a lot too. Every night, I stayed up with Bruno doing homework. When he didn't understand something, I was the one who taught him. In our first year of high school, he could only score 60 in math. I walked him through every problem until he got to 90. In our second year, his English listening was nearly zero. I practiced with him 2 hours a day until he could understand. In our third year, when he was hospitalized for a month, I went to the hospital daily to tutor him so he wouldn't fall behind. Fiona was stunned, tears still hanging on her face. I kept going. When he had a fever, I stayed up all night to take care of him. When he got into trouble, I cleaned up the mess. When he was in a bad mood, I stayed by his side. If all of that were converted into money, I bet it would cost way more than the food I ate. The classroom remained silent. I turned to Bruno. Also, I never looked down on you. I just don't want to be a freeloader anymore. Is that so wrong? With that, I turned and walked away. Bruno ran after me. Amanda, wait! I stopped, but didn't turn around. I'm sorry. His voice trembled, soft and low. I didn't know you gave so much. I always thought I was the one taking care of you, but it turns out it was you taking care of me. So what if you know now? I turned to look at him. Bruno, we can't go back. Chapter 14. In December, a well-known company came to the university to recruit interns. It was a rare opportunity, and everyone in the major was competing for it. The company was one of the top 3 internet firms in the country, and even the interns were paid better than many full-time jobs. I carefully prepared my resume and portfolio, organizing my grades and papers from the semester. During the initial interview, the interviewer was a woman in her 40s. Very professional. She flipped through my resume. Your grades are excellent, ranked first in your major. But I see you're working part-time? Yes. I work at a cafe. Why are you working? Is your family struggling financially? Her eyes were sharp, as if she were evaluating something. I answered calmly. I want to become independent as early as possible and gain real-world experience. Working part-time has taught me how to communicate with people and solve problems. These are things you can't learn from textbooks. She nodded in approval. Good. Our company needs grounded people like you, not those students with lofty ideas but no skills. At the final interview, I ran into several classmates from my major, including Fiona. She was dressed impeccably today, all name-brand items, looking like a successful professional. When she saw me, she sneered. Even a cafe girl came to interview? You think you actually have a chance? I ignored her and waited quietly for the interview. When the results came out, I passed. A week later, I received the offer letter. The internship salary was 8,000 yuan per month, a staggering number for a freshman. And if I performed well, I could be hired full-time after graduation. Elise hugged me excitedly. This is amazing. So many people dream of this. We have to celebrate tonight. Come on. Dinner's on me. We went to a small restaurant near campus and ordered a few dishes. It wasn't anything fancy, but the atmosphere was great. Just as we were eating, Bruno walked in. He looked even more haggard than before, like he hadn't rested in a long time. When he saw me, he paused, then walked over. Congratulations. Thanks. Can I sit? Elise immediately stood up. I'm going to the bathroom. She gave me an encouraging look before leaving. Bruno sat down, and after a long silence, finally said, Amanda, I've been thinking a lot. His hand trembled slightly on the table. These past 12 years, I really did take your efforts for granted. I thought we'd just keep going like we always did. You'd stay by my side, and I'd protect you, just like when we were kids. He looked at me, eyes filled with mixed emotions. But I was wrong. I never truly protected you. I actually caused you a lot of pain. When people spoke badly about you, I didn't care, because I knew you weren't like that. But I never thought you'd care. I never realized those words hurt you. Chapter 15. What's the point of saying all this now? I put down my chopsticks and looked at him calmly. His face turned even paler. His lips were trembling. Bruno gave a bitter smile. I know it's meaningless, but I have to say it. Amanda, actually, Before he could finish, the door burst open. Bruno! Fiona rushed in, her eyes red and swollen, makeup ruined by tears. I've been looking for you everywhere. Then she saw me, her expression instantly darkened, her eyes filled with hatred. You again! What do you want from him? Bruno already apologized to you. How long are you going to keep clinging to him? Isn't it money you want? How much? I'll give it to you. She yanked out her wallet and threw a pile of cash onto the table. Is this enough? If not, I'll give you more. Just stay away from Bruno. I stood up. We all know who's really clinging to whom. Elise. Let's go. Elise, who had returned at some point, immediately followed. As we stepped out of the restaurant, I heard Bruno's furious roar behind us. Fiona, that's enough. How many times have I told you not to bother her again? But Bruno, you like me, don't you? Her voice was breaking with sobs. You said it once, you said I was cute. When did I ever say I liked you? Bruno's tone was like ice. Where do you get that confidence from? But that night, on your birthday, you kissed me. I was drunk. And you were the one who initiated it. I didn't hear the rest, nor did I want to. None of it had anything to do with me anymore. The next day, Fiona didn't come to class. Rumor had it she took sick leave and spent the whole day crying in her dorm. Her roommate said she tore up all of Bruno's photos, crying as she ripped them apart. As for Bruno, he disappeared. He didn't show up to class for 3 days in a row. Until a week later, his mother came to find me. She had lost weight. Her once well-maintained face now showed new wrinkles. Her eyes were red and puffy, clearly from crying. Amanda. Bruno, he wants to drop out. Chapter 16. Drop out of school? I was stunned. I hadn't expected that at all. Bruno's grades weren't the best, but they were decent, and his family was well off. There was no reason for him to quit. His mother was crying. He said university is meaningless, that he wants to start a business. He's locked himself in his room, won't see anyone. He's not eating or drinking. It's like he's lost his soul. She gripped my hand tightly. Her palm was damp with sweat. Nothing I say gets through to him. Amanda, can you please go see him? He only listens to you. I fell silent. Go see Bruno? But we had no relationship anymore. She continued, her voice trembling. I know you've been wronged. Amanda, Bruno deserves to be scolded. Tears streamed down her face. But seeing him like this, I'm really worried. He's always been stubborn. Once he decides something, no one can change his mind. If he really drops out now, his life will be ruined. Amanda, I'm begging you. Looking into her pleading eyes, my heart softened. After all, I remembered all the kindness she had shown me. All right, I'll go see him. Bruno's house was exactly the same. The familiar living room, the familiar furniture, even the same faint scent in the air. I had spent 12 years of my life there. Every corner carried a piece of my memory. On the coffee table sat the photo frame I gave his mother back in high school. Inside was a picture of the three of us. In that photo, Bruno and I were both smiling brightly. Back then, we were just kids. I pushed open Bruno's bedroom door. The room was dark. The curtains were tightly shut. The air smelled strongly of alcohol. He was sitting on the floor, leaning against the bed, surrounded by empty bottles. When he saw me, he froze, then gave a bitter, self-mocking smile. You came. His voice was so hoarse it barely sounded human. You're dropping out? Yeah, why? He looked at me, his gaze unfocused. It's meaningless. School is meaningless. Life is meaningless. Everything is meaningless. Without you, nothing has meaning. Bruno, don't be like this. Why not? He suddenly grew agitated, forcing himself to his feet. Everything changed after you left. Every morning when I wake up, the first thing I do is check my phone to see if you messaged me. At school, I can't help looking for you. At home, I see the empty dining table and can't eat a single bite. He took a step closer, his eyes bloodshot. Amanda, do you know something? I regret it. I really regret it. If, that night at the party, I had stood up for you, if I hadn't said it was just a joke, if I had realized sooner how important you were to me. Chapter 17. What's the use of regret? I sat down across from him, keeping a safe distance. Bruno gave a bitter smile. It's useless, but I still regret it. Suddenly, he covered his face, and his shoulders started trembling violently. It was the first time I had ever seen Bruno cry. Not quiet tears, but a complete breakdown. He cried like a child. You know what? I liked you a long time ago. His voice was choked and halting, full of sobs. I don't even know when it started. Maybe it was when you first helped me with tutoring. You were so patient, teaching me over and over. Maybe it was when I got sick, and you took care of me. You stayed up all night, just to change my towels. Or maybe it was even earlier, when we were still kids. You followed me around, calling me Brother Bruno. He lifted his head to look at me, tears still streaming down his face. But I was too arrogant. I thought you'd always be there. I thought no matter what I did, you'd never leave. I took your kindness for granted. It wasn't until you really left that I realized I was nothing. Without you, I can't even live a normal life. I tried to forget you. I tried to be with someone else. But I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. You're all I ever think about. I was quiet for a long moment, then softly said, Bruno, you don't love me. You're just used to me being around, like how you're used to breathing or used to sunlight. When those things disappear, you feel the pain. But that's not love. Bruno shook his head violently. No, I love you. I know what love is. Love is feeling jealous when I see you talking to someone else. Love is feeling like my heart's being torn apart when you ignore me. Love is wishing I could see you every second of every day. If you loved me, I said gently, you wouldn't have let others humiliate me. If you loved me, you wouldn't have taken everything I did for granted. If you loved me, you wouldn't just now be realizing how important I was. Bruno, love doesn't come as an afterthought. Love is knowing from the beginning that someone is worth cherishing. I stood up. Don't drop out. That's just running away. Finish your studies properly. That's what you're supposed to do. Don't make your mother worry. Chapter 18. Just as I was about to leave, Bruno suddenly hugged me, tightly, like he wanted to absorb me into his body. Don't go, please. His voice trembled, laced with desperation. I know I was wrong. Just give me one more chance, okay? I'll change. I'll do whatever you say. Anything you want me to do. If you want to keep working part-time, I won't stop you. If you want to live independently, I'll support you. As long as you come back, as long as you're willing to talk to me again, I'm begging you. Amanda. I pushed him away with all my strength. Bruno, don't you get it yet? I never wanted someone who just obeys me. What I wanted was respect, equality, to be cherished. I wanted someone who keeps me in their heart, not someone who sees me as an accessory. And those things, you never gave me. He stared at me blankly. His face had gone paper white, and the tears kept falling harder. I never realized a boy could cry this much. Amanda, I really know I was wrong. His voice was so low and crushed, like dust. Just give me one more chance, just one. I swear I'll cherish you this time. If you know you were wrong, then live well. I turned and walked away. Don't make your mom worry. She's your mother. She loves you. I stepped out of Bruno's room and took a deep breath. 12 years of entanglement, finally. I could let go. It wasn't that I didn't love him anymore. It was that I couldn't love him anymore. Some wounds, once inflicted, can never be healed. Like a shattered mirror, even if you glue it back together, the cracks will always remain. Luis's mother was waiting in the living room. How did it go? She looked at me anxiously, still holding a cup of tea in her hands. He's not going to drop out. Really? Her eyes lit up, tears spilling again. Thank you, Amanda. I knew it. He only listens to you. Ma'am, please take care of yourself. She paused, then suddenly pulled me into a hug, so tight as if afraid I would disappear. Sweetheart, I'm sorry, she sobbed. It's Bruno who wronged you. Our family wronged you. If I could do it over again, I'd raise him differently. No, you were always good to me. I gently hugged her back. Thank you for everything over the years. You were the one who showed me what a warm home feels like. I shook my head and gently stepped back. I should go now. Amanda, take care. Ma'am. Chapter 19. Bruno didn't drop out of school, but he changed a lot. He was no longer the proud, energetic Bruno from before. He threw himself into studying if he wasn't in class. He was in the library, as if trying to numb himself through academic work. His grades skyrocketed, moving from average to top 10 in his year. But he also grew frighteningly thin. Fiona transferred schools. I heard she went down south. Before leaving, she came to see me once and said a lot of unpleasant things. Basically, she blamed me for ruining her love, for ruining Bruno. I didn't respond. It wasn't me who ruined anyone. They made their own choices. As for me, I focused on my internship and studies. The company I interned at was very satisfied with me. The department supervisor even said if I was willing, I could become a full-time employee as early as sophomore year. It was a special exception, but they were willing to make it for me. In sophomore year, I received a full scholarship. Not only was my tuition completely covered, I also received a monthly stipend. With that and my internship income, my living conditions improved a lot. I moved out of the dorm and rented a small apartment near campus. It wasn't big, but it was my own space. I even sent money to Grandma, even though she always said no. Girl, keep it for yourself. Grandma has her pension, I have enough. But I insisted. It was my way of showing love. Elise said, "You've really changed." Changed how? You're more confident now, more attractive. She laughed. So many guys want to date you, and you've turned them all down. I smiled, but didn't answer. Love? That's not something I want to think about right now. I want to live well first, for myself. In junior year, I was offered a chance to study abroad. It was an exchange program with MIT, only open to top students. 1 year, fully funded. Before I left, Luis's mom came to see me off. She brought a lot of things. Take these, they'll be useful overseas. Warm clothes, medicine, even some of my favorite snacks. Auntie, don't refuse, just take it as my care. Her eyes were red. It's a whole year. Take good care of yourself. If anything happens, promise me you'll let me know. She hesitated for a moment, then added, Bruno, never mind. He's doing well now. His grades are great. He's much more grounded, but he's pushing himself too hard, like a robot. I wish you a safe journey. I hugged her. Thank you, Auntie, for everything these past years. As the plane took off, I saw a familiar figure through the window. It was Bruno. He stood outside the airport, looking up at the sky. He stood there for a very, very long time, until the plane disappeared into the clouds. I turned my gaze back inside and closed my eyes. Some things, once they're in the past, they're just the past. Some people, once missed, are missed forever. Chapter 20. 2 years later, I returned after completing my studies. Not only did I earn dual degrees, I also received offers from several top-tier companies. In the end, I chose the AI company with the greatest potential for growth, a 7-figure annual salary, plus generous stock options. For someone my age, it was quite an achievement. I bought an apartment in the city center. Though the mortgage was a heavy burden, it finally felt like I had a home of my own. While renovating, I made sure to reserve a room for Grandma. She was getting older, and I wanted to bring her to live in the city with me. Work was busy, but fulfilling. The project I was leading progressed smoothly, and my boss valued me highly. I occasionally thought of the past, but the feelings were gone. It was like watching someone else's story, a slight sigh. But nothing more, until one day, at a business cocktail event, I saw Bruno again. He had lost a lot of weight, but his demeanor was much more composed. Wearing a well-tailored suit, he had the air of a successful man in every gesture. When he saw me, he froze, for a long time, as if he couldn't believe his eyes. Then he slowly walked over. "Long time no see." His voice trembled slightly. "Long time no see. How have you been?" His eyes held a mix of surprise, nostalgia, and something else I couldn't quite name. "Pretty well. You?" "I started a company. It's still in its early stages." He paused. "It's in the field of artificial intelligence, same as yours." So, he had been keeping track of me all along. "Amanda, can we talk?" There was a pleading tone in his voice. I checked the time. "I have a meeting. Just a few minutes, please." We went to the terrace of the hotel. The night breeze was cool, and the city lights sparkled beneath us. The city had changed a lot, more skyscrapers, brighter neon signs. But some things never change, like the human heart. Bruno was silent for a long time before he finally spoke. "All these years, I kept thinking about one question. If I hadn't been so arrogant back then, would things have turned out differently? If I had known how to cherish you, would you still be by my side?" I gave a small smile. "There's no what if." "Yeah, no what ifs." He gave a bitter laugh, his eyes slightly red. "But I still wonder, every day." Chapter 21. Amanda, can I ask you a question? Bruno looked at the distant city lights, his voice soft. "Go ahead. Do you hate me?" He turned to look at me, eyes filled with a faint sense of hope. Maybe he hoped I'd say yes, because hate still meant there were feelings. I thought for a moment. "No, I don't." "Really?" "Really." I looked at the lights in the distance. Hating someone takes too much energy. Besides, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have become who I am today. If you had stood up for me back then, maybe I would have stayed that dependent girl, always hiding under your wings, never growing up. From that perspective, I should thank you. Bruno's eyes turned red. His voice choked with emotion. "Do you know? Not being hated is even more despairing than being hated. Because hate at least means someone still cares. But when there's no hate, it means they've truly moved on. It means that person no longer matters to you." I didn't deny it. Yes, he no longer mattered to me. He took a deep breath, trying hard to hold back his emotions. "I know there's no going back for us, but I just wanted to say, those 12 years were the most precious memories of my life. Thank you for staying with me so long. Thank you for teaching me so much. Anne." "I'm sorry, I realized it all too late." He turned to leave. After a few steps, he looked back. "Amanda, you will be happy. You really will. 100 times happier than you ever were with me." With that, he walked away quickly, as if afraid he might change his mind. I stood on the terrace, watching his figure disappear into the crowd. Suddenly, memories from many years ago came rushing back. Back then, we were so young, so hopeful. I thought we would be together forever. He thought I would never leave. We promised to go to university together, to work together, to build a life together. We even naively discussed baby names. But that's life, full of the unexpected. Some people are only meant to walk with you for a while, and when that walk ends, it's time to say goodbye. Amanda. I turned around. It was a colleague calling me. "The meeting's about to start." "Okay, I'm coming." I took one last look at the city skyline, then turned and stepped back into the banquet hall. That was where my new life awaited, full of endless possibilities. As for the past, I would let it stay where it belonged, in the past.